Way up YouTube, back with part B of my 4,000 mile review kind of thing on the Panigale V2. If you haven't watched part A, I'd appreciate it if you jump back to last week's video, watch sort of part A. I go into like sort of the context of bikes I've had and that sort of thing, and a couple of issues with this bike in the first part. So this is the part B, for want of a better word, of the 4,000 mile review. I'll touch on some more things that I like about the bike, what I don't like about the bike, and stuff that like I'd never sort of got on previous reviews of the bike when I was looking to buy it. So straight away, instead of me waffling on about last week's video, yada yada yada, I'll jump straight into the next part of the video that I want to talk about, and it's regarding heat again. Obviously my last video was all about like how it affects the rider and that sort of thing. What I will tell you about the Panigale V2 is, bear in mind, it is my first Ducati, it is my first twin. Now what I have found compared to all my inline 4s I've had, V-twins, they just run hot. And when I say hot, I don't mean hot for the rider, I mean hot for the bike. If you ride the bike for an hour or so, the bike, the whole bike itself gets heat soaked, and it really does stay hot. What I mean by this is, if I'm going out on a normal ride and I'm away off up into the dales, up in the mountains, and I'm really enjoying it, the actual bike temperature that it runs at, so I'm talking about a top rating temperature, so you're riding along, you look down, you look at the temperature, the bike is always, bear in mind it's UK summertime, I don't ride slow, I do tend to push on a bit. Again, I'll touch on this as this little video goes forward, a tiny bit further forward. So I'm cruising, doing 60-70 mile an hour, across some dual carriageways to get up to where, up into the mountains and the dales and stuff where I live. There is a short commute to get there. The bike does run hot. It runs in and around the sort of 82 degrees C sort of range. If you come to a stop and you stop at set traffic lights for what, 30 seconds, it will run into the 90 degrees C and 95s, 96s. If you stop for any more than like a minute or two, it's up into the 103s, the fans are kicking in, yada yada yada. Just something that if you're considering about buying a V2 or actually owning a one, it's just something to be aware of, because I'm used to, again, like my first part of my video, I'm used to like inline 4s, and they just run a hell of a lot cooler. We're talking around the 75 degrees C mark when you're actually moving and you stop at lights, and it seems to take 2 or 3 minutes for it to even bust the 90s. You get up into the hundreds for the fans kicking in. You could have been stopped with the engine running on a red hot sunny day, and you for minutes before the fan would even kick in. Whereas the V2s, they do run hot and they do get heat soaked. So when you get home after a ride and you pack your bike up, you can go back to it 2 or 3 hours later, and everything is still hot. The clutch cover, everything is still really, really hot. It takes a long time for the actual bike to cool down. So I'm hoping to rattle through a couple of these, a couple of more things I want to touch on, because I appreciate the last video was about 15 minutes, so I will rattle on pretty quick with this. Hopefully I should be done within about a 10-minute video. I might push on a little bit further, I don't know. So the next thing I want to talk about is the suspension of the bike. And just to give you, sorry about this, vehicle's going past, a bit loud. So yeah, just to quickly touch on the suspension on the bike. To give you a bit of context, I'm not exactly a small guy. I'm around the 6 foot 1 mark, with all my riding gear on. I've actually weighed myself. I'm 110 kilograms with all my riding kit on, which is 242 pounds in American money. Here in the UK, that's about 7.3 stone. So I'm not exactly Pecco Bagnaia. I'm not an 80 kilogram rider, which I think this bike is sort of set up for. Little Giuseppe or whatever you want to call them. So what I found was quickly I've overpowered the suspension very quickly. I don't ride slow, I do tend to push on a little bit. So the front suspension I've actually adjusted and set now. Front and rear suspension I've set up. I've set all my rider sag, yada yada, blah blah, and I've actually maxed out the preload now on the front suspension. The front suspension's got 120mm of travel, so bottom out is sort of where my nail is here. I've literally put all my preload in now, and I can still bottom the suspension out. I suppose that's inherent with being a bit of a fat knacker. Rear shock is the same. What I've found is it is a bit soft for somebody of my height and build and my riding style. Again, I'm not bragging, I don't want to come across that way at all, but I don't ride the bike slow. I do tend to push on, and I do enjoy the bike. So the next thing that I'll probably be doing next year, rather than a £4,000 exhaust system for the bike and all that sort of stuff, yes, it sounds great, it sounds lovely, I would rather put a nice Öhlins rear shock on that's sprung for my weight, and again cartridges for the front suspension, again that's sprung for my weight, that'll actually help me with the handling of the bike and my weight and such forth. I don't know if this will come across on camera. It's not something I'm particularly proud of showing on the bike. Like I say, I do tend to ride a little bit hard. I'll go down on my knees here and I'll show you. Leant right over on a left hand turn, a little bit of a divot in the road. You will have to be moving on a little bit. I don't know if this will come across, but I've actually bottomed the bike off. I bottomed the bike out, sorry, while I was doing about 80 miles an hour on a left hand bend and it had a little bit of a bump in. I managed to bottom it out. Enough said on that one. Brakes on the bike, like I say, this is a 4,000 mile review and it's what I've found. The brakes are absolutely phenomenal. Don't go into all these videos and think that you're going to need bigger and better brakes and all that sort of thing. I'm running the standard brakes. Yeah, I've took the reflector and stuff off. I am running the standard brakes. The standard brakes are absolutely phenomenal. They're powerful, they do everything that you want them to do, even for my weight. Bloody hell, what is it? Traffic and aeroplanes today. So yeah, that's the sort of brake sort of issue touched on. Right, so riding the bike, what I found, again, it's my first V twin. I watched loads of videos online. Everyone was saying, oh, the Ducati's up the game over the year and they ride lovely and smooth around town and this, that and the other, and you get the idea, guys. I'm here to tell you, they don't. It's a V twin. This actual bike, and like I say, I've done 4,000 miles an hour. If I ride it round town, to the shops, do whatever, go backwards and forwards, that sort of thing, what I've actually found is the bike's really lumpy, really lumpy, low down. The second thing I've found to akin to what I'm saying is, basically, if you're on the bike and you're moving, you've got to be over 3,000 RPM. It doesn't matter how fast you're going or what gear you're in. The vehicle, to be not lumpy, has to be above 3,000 RPM. So if you're cruising down a 40 mile an hour high street, the likelihood is you're going to be in first gear to keep you above 3,000 RPM. It is lumpy. The bike doesn't like going slow. That being said, the flip side to that coin is, once you're out on the open road on this thing and you're starting to bang through the gears a little bit and away you go, this bike is phenomenal. The power it's got is fantastic. I've ridden Honda Fireblades in the past, and that sort of thing. I've actually owned Honda Fireblades in the past, and believe you me, I'd read things online that like the baby Panigale was probably the equivalent of a 750 inline 4. It's not. It's way faster. It's got more power, more torque, more low down grip, more everything. You really are up to the next level from like sort of 600 to 750 inline 4s. This is another step up. It's not quite there with your full on leader bikes, as you well know, your R1s and all that sort of thing. but this bike is very powerful and it loves to be revved. It loves to be singing. Handling's fantastic and everything. It really is good, really is good. I'm going to quickly rattle through these because I don't want to make it into like a half-hour video or anything like that, you know. The quick shifter on the bike, it's the first bike I've ridden with rider aids. Obviously it's the first bike I've owned with rider aids. It's the first bike I've owned with a quick shifter. I'm used to it now. Like I say, after 4,000 miles I'm used to it. The quick shifter works phenomenal. It's silky smooth, it works a treat. However, that being said, what I did find is with the quick shifter is if you use it for what it's intended, it is phenomenal. What a piece of kit the quick shifter is on this bike. I'm assuming all quick shifters are the same. I'll just zoom in. I don't know why I'm zooming in there for you, but you can have a look at that sort of part of the bike. What I found is if you're around town and you're trying to use the quick shifter on sort of like half throttle, so you're not off the throttle but you're not on the throttle, you're sort of like chugging along, and you try to go down the box, the bike will lurch forward. Or equally, if you're just chugging along on sort of like half throttle and you want to go up the box, it'll sort of lurch forward. That being said, if you use the quick shifter for what the quick shifter is made for, when I'm out and I'm up the dales and I'm braking hard for a corner and I'm going down the box, it doesn't miss gears, everything just slips in. I mean, even second to first on nearly every other bike I've had is a horrible clunk, and you know what I'm talking about. If you're into your bikes, you know what I'm talking about. With the quick shifter, none of that. It just goes third, second, straight into first, no clunk, no nothing. Same when you're on the power. Crest of hills, you know, you'll hit a little crest on a hill and the front wheel will come up. Again, I have my wheelie control switched off. I do like to wheelie. You might hit a crest of a hill in second at around 7,000 RPM, give it a bit of a handful and the front wheel will come up. As soon as it comes up, it'll just slip straight into third, into fourth, and you can either hold the wheelie, whatever you want, or you can drop the wheelie, put the wheelie down. The quick shifter is that good. It's absolutely phenomenal. The next point I want to touch on, again, I'm sorry if I'm rattling through these quick. I just don't want to make like a half-hour video as part B. The turning circle on the bike, it's shit. It is absolutely diabolical. You wouldn't think it, but it is. However, that being said, I understand why it's the way it is. Obviously it's got a steering damper on the bike, and I don't know if I can do the actual turn where you'll see it. Bear with me. You can't see it from that side. Can you see it from? Yeah, you can see it from that side. Right, bear with me, guys. I'll just go around the other side of the bike. The turning circle is adjustable. If I was to zoom in on this here, that is the. It's just a little lock nut with a rod that goes through that actually touches the actual sort of headstock, and that's your limit. So the turning circle is adjustable by that. However, with it having the steering damper on it, I'm pretty sure that they've set that to suit the steering damper, with the steering damper being non-adjustable. So I've left it. However, if you're jumping off an inline 4 like a BMW S1000RR or something like that, that's got a relatively good steering lock, my CBR 600, yes, it would turn great. Don't get us wrong, turning's not a problem. I'm just saying the turning circle is crap on it. Fuel. Everyone was saying to me, and all the videos I watched, seems to be there was more American videos than what there was UK videos. But here in the UK, I average around from a full tank. Again, I don't ride slow. I do actually push on a little bit. I can average anywhere between sort of 90 miles and 110 miles before the actual fuel light will come on. That being said, again, a lot of people would panic, oh, I need fuel. What I've actually done is then took it easy when the fuel lights come on, and I've done another 30 mile to get me to a fuel station on the reserve, for want of a better word, that's on the fuel tank. So that's, I mean, you're up into the 140s, 145 miles after you've done 100 miles of very hard riding. I mean, I'm going past not using any more than third gear on some country roads. So for me, on a leader bike, or so-called leader bike, I mean 955 cc is pretty close to a litre. I don't think that the actual mileage you get out of it is bad at all. I think it's absolutely great. The comfort of the bike. What I found is, again, I've only ever ridden sports bikes. I thought this one was going to be no different. I thought, oh, I'm going to jump on this bike. It's got the same sort of size as my 600RR. It is a little bit bigger. Not much mind. It's about the same size as my 600RR. It is a little bit heavier, however. And the comfort I thought was going to be pretty much identical to me last bike, which was the 600RR. What I have tend to found is this bike is a bit more wristy. I am leant over just a tiny bit more. However, again, that being said, I have gone up in the power category and all that sort of thing. So I was expecting it to be that little bit more uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable to the point where you think, oh, I can't ride this for very long. But I've done full days out on this thing and stopping like every hour and a half. That sort of thing, and it's absolutely fine, guys. It's spot on. Another thing I'll touch on is the exhaust. Everybody will be in the comments, no doubt, and beating us up in the comments saying, it would be better if you had a full system on, or you had like a race cans on it, this, that and the other. There's one thing I will say. What you will find is, if you take this bike out for a test ride, you'll soon come to tell yourself, yeah, you don't really need the exhaust. The exhaust is only for people on the outside. When you're on the bike, the induction noise of the bike, and when you rev the bike, the sound this thing makes while you're actually riding the bike is absolutely fantastic. So I'll be spending here in the UK for the full Aqua system, it's about 3,800 quid. No, I don't think I'll be spending that sort of money on just something that makes noise. I would rather put that into sort of performance. And again, I touched on the suspension. By the time I buy an Öhlins shock for the rear, there's sort of 1,100 quid. Carriages at the front, I honestly don't know how much they're going to cost me, but let's say another 1,500 to 1,800 quid. I would rather put my money into that sort of area of the bike rather than exhaust. If you want to hear the bike running, if you go back to part A of this video, I actually fire the bike up and you can actually have a listen to it and that sort of like. Again, sorry, I appreciate this video has dragged on a little bit. It's 17 minutes. I would love to make like an hour-long video and go into more depth, more in detail, more, but people don't want to sit and watch an hour-long video, so I'll try to break it up into 2 parts. Just before I go, if there's anything that I haven't touched on, because there is stuff that I want to talk about and I have sort of like skated past it and rolled it into like other sort of areas. If I have missed anything and there's something that you guys out there want to know about the bike, you're thinking about buying a V2 or anything like that, and there's something that you'd really like to know, something that's going to be an issue for you, please drop a comment in the box and I'll either make a video on that. If I think it's like interesting enough to make a video on it, I'll make a video on it. If not, I will get back to you in the comments. I do my best to answer everybody, and I'll if I can answer it, I will answer it for you. Like again, it's not a Ducati press bike. I'm not paid by Ducati or anything like that. This is my bike. I bought it. I hadn't ridden it. I hadn't did a test ride or anything like that when I decided it was. I looked at it, fell in love with the looks of it. I bought it, and it's a case of now I own it. Now I'm riding it, and I'm starting to find out all the little quirks or the best parts and the bad parts about the bike. So once again, I'm sorry it's a long one, guys. I think it's going to be near 20 minutes, this video. I hope there is some information in there that does help. If I have missed on something, like again, please drop a comment and I'll do my best to answer that for you, or make another little video, as I am running out of content to make on it now. So yeah, hope everyone's staying safe, doing well, and hopefully I'll be able to find something to make another little video. Thanks guys, ta-ra now.